billion stolen, a Roman god, and a random Iranian oil tanker. These concepts are all related, believe it or not, and this is the story of how a coincidence prevented one of the largest heists in history. The quiet before the storm. It's a quiet Friday morning at Bangladesh Bank. The hum of computers and the gentle whir of printers fill the air, but something's off. The usual stack of Swift messages isn't in the printer tray. It's February 5th, 2016. And Zubair bin Huda, a programmer at the bank, is about to stumble into a financial nightmare that will shake the global banking system to its core. Bin Huda settles into his chair, ready for another routine day. He boots up his computer, expecting to see the usual flood of Swift messages, the secure system you may be familiar with banks use for international transactions. But today, the screen remains blank. Error messages pop up as he tries to access the system. His palms begin to sweat as he furiously types, attempting to troubleshoot. As minutes turn into hours, Ben Huda's concern grows. He tries rebooting, but nothing changes. The Swift software remains unresponsive. Phone calls to colleagues go unanswered. It's the weekend in much of the world. The ticking clock echoes in his ears, each second potentially costing millions. Finally, after exhaustive efforts, Ben Huda accesses the system. His heart races as he sees 46 payment instructions totaling nearly $1 billion, all unauthorized transfers to accounts across the globe. Panic sets in. His fingers fly across the keyboard, desperately trying to halt the transfers. But it's too late. Banks worldwide have closed for the weekend. As the gravity of the situation sinks in, a chilling realization dawns. They've just been hacked. While the bank slept, skilled hackers had infiltrated the Swift network in a meticulously planned operation months in the making. The attackers burrowed deep into the bank's systems, lying in wait for the perfect moment to strike. Using custom malware, they mimicked legitimate Swift software, issuing fraudulent transfer orders that appeared to come from authorized employees. The system processed these transactions as if they were routine. But the hackers didn't stop there. They covered their tracks, deleting records and disabling printers to delay detection. They even created fake database entries to mislead investigators. It was a level of sophistication that would leave cybersecurity experts reeling for months. As Ben Huda and his team grapple with the unfolding crisis, the full scale of the attack becomes clear. Nearly $1 billion have been stolen. The perfect target. As the dust settles on the billion-dollar shock at Bangladesh Bank, a haunting question emerges. Why them? What made this particular institution the perfect mark for such an audacious heist? The answer lies in a perfect storm of economic growth, technological change, and overlooked vulnerabilities. Bangladesh in 2016 was a nation on the rise, its economy growing at an impressive 7% annually. At the heart of this economic boom stood the Bangladesh Bank, guardian of the country's financial future. Established in 1971, this central bank had become crucial in regulating the nation's monetary and financial systems. By March 2022, it would be sitting on a hefty reserve of $32 billion, a testament to Bangladesh's economic success story. This very success made the bank an irresistible target for cybercriminals. Billions of dollars in foreign currency reserves just waiting to be tapped. The Bangladesh Bank had become a golden goose in the eyes of those looking to exploit weaknesses in the global banking system. Now, let's talk about those weaknesses. As Bangladesh's economy surged forward, its banking infrastructure struggled to keep up. The bank had been pushing to digitize its operations, but while the front end got a shiny new makeover, the back end security measures were lagging behind. Enter the Swift network, the highway of international banking. Imagine it as a high-speed train carrying valuable cargo between stations. The golden ticket for criminals was to sneak aboard undetected. In the case of Bangladesh Bank, they had a number of servers to facilitate large Swift transfers, but without consistent monitoring and, according to some sources, not so much as a firewall. To continue our metaphor, they filled their train cars with gold worth a fortune and secured it, unguarded, with a little padlock. The Infiltration. With the light security easily breached by the hackers, they went to work with the next step, facilitating their heist. Investigators found the hackers used a very particular type of malware. The hackers installed a modified version of the infamous Dridex Trojan, allegedly originating in Russia, specifically to target banks. The malware they released was a Swiss Army knife of digital deception. It could send fraudulent payment requests and cover its tracks by tampering with swift responses. It even included a custom network protocol designed to mimic legitimate traffic, slipping past security measures like a ghost in the machine. As the pieces fell into place, the stage was set for a heist of unprecedented scale. The hackers had their custom malware, their virtual control center, and a target with billions in foreign currency reserves. They were poised to pull off what could have been the biggest digital bank robbery in history. The heist begins. Transferring money through the SWIFT network typically involves navigating a labyrinth of security checks. Each transaction undergoes multiple verifications with scrutiny at every step. But tonight, those watchful eyes are about to be blinded. The hacker's custom malware springs into action, seamlessly integrating with the SWIFT system. It's a digital chameleon, mimicking legitimate transactions while erasing its tracks. The first fraudulent transfer request is sent. Success! $20 million slips through, bound for Sri Lanka. More transfers follow in rapid succession. 20 million becomes 81 million, then 101 million. With each transaction, the stakes rise higher. But they're not stopping there. They set their sights on $1 billion. As the minutes tick by, each new transfer is a roll of the dice. Will anyone notice before it's too late? The key to their success lies in sophisticated malware that manipulates the entire SWIFT system. It doesn't just send fraudulent requests, it rewrites digital history in real time. The software interacts directly with SWIFT, sending bogus payment requests while simultaneously covering their tracks. I have no idea what that means, but the hackers did. The hackers' timing is impeccable. By striking when it's night in Bangladesh and a weekend in New York, they've minimized the chance of immediate detection. It's a calculated move that exploits the global nature of banking. As dawn breaks over Dhaka, the storm clouds gather in New York. The hackers have set in motion a chain of events that will soon spiral beyond their control. But for now, in the pre-dawn darkness, they ride high on their apparent success. Jupiter. You might think that after infiltrating one of the world's most secure financial systems, these cybercriminals were unstoppable. But sometimes the smallest oversight can bring down even the most elaborate schemes. Let's zoom in on a moment that changed everything. A twist of fate that would be dismissed from the plot of a film for just how mundane it was. It's a bustling day at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Amidst the constant hum of financial transactions, an automated system starts flashing red. But it's not detecting the usual signs of fraud. This time, it's something more subtle. As the compliance review process kicks in, human eyes start scrutinizing the transfers. One by one, seemingly legitimate transactions are cleared, but then something catches their attention. A single word stands out. Jupiter. Now you might be wondering, what's so special about Jupiter? Is that where the hackers are from? Well no, it's part of the address of a branch of a Philippines bank. It also happened to be the name of a shipping company, Jupiter Seaways Shipping, and an oil tanker. An Iranian company, an Iranian tanker, at a time when the US was sanctioning the country. This one coincidence caused the transactions to be flagged for potential violation of the sanctions, and though the hack wasn't related at all, the scrutiny it brought was enough anyway. This seemingly innocuous word triggered a deeper investigation, stopping 30 additional transactions totaling a staggering $850 million. Think about it. A single word, coincidentally related to something not involved at all, just saved nearly $1 billion from vanishing into thin air. The investigators found that the payments were all directed to accounts held by the same individuals at a specific branch, the Jupiter branch of the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation. Representative Carolyn B. Maloney summed it up perfectly. Quote, "If it hadn't been for the quick action of someone at the central bank in New York, an additional $900 million would have been lost." End quote. That's the power of vigilance, folks. In a world where cyber threats are becoming increasingly sophisticated, sometimes it's the human element, that extra set of eyes, that moment of doubt, that makes all the difference. The money trail. Though they missed out on $850 million, they did still manage to steal $81 million. The money landed in accounts at the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation, RCBC, in the Philippines, suddenly springing to life after long dormancy. Maya Santos Tejito, the manager of RCBC's Jupiter branch, played a crucial role, approving these dubious accounts despite their questionable origins. But in this modern world, if you really want to keep your stolen money and your freedom, you need to launder it. Now, picture the glittering world of Filipino casinos. Bright lights, constant chime of slot machines, and millions of dollars about to pull a disappearing act. These casinos aren't just for high rollers, they're perfect for making money vanish without a trace. Why? Well, because of the Philippine casino industry's notorious lack of oversight. Think of junket operators as financial magicians. They're like travel agents for high-stakes gamblers, but with a twist. In this scheme, they were the experts at navigating the casino environment, converting stolen funds into chips, then back into cash, leaving investors grasping at smoke. Here's how the magic trick works. First, the junket operators bring in players with money in need of laundering. These players exchange cash for chips, play a few games, and then cash out, claiming their winnings as legitimate gambling profits. The money, now clean, can be moved to offshore accounts or invested in legitimate business. It's simple, but essentially the goal is to muddy the waters, putting more steps between the funds being stolen and the funds you have now. Most of what was stolen hasn't been recovered, but as we've already used the name of some of the people involved, there have been some arrests. But there's more to this than these complicit bank employees. They were just cogs in the machine. A state actor. As investigators dug deeper into the malware, they uncovered a signature that would turn this financial crime into an international incident. The code bore striking similarities to other high-profile cyber attacks, including the Sony Pictures hack of 2014. The digital breadcrumbs were leading to an unexpected destination: North Korea. Enter the Lazarus Group, a shadowy collective of hackers with ties to North Korea's intelligence apparatus. Known for their sophisticated attacks, their fingerprints were all over this heist, from the advanced malware to the intricate money laundering operation. It all pointed to their involvement. Richard Leggett, deputy director of the NSA, put it bluntly, quote, "If that linkage from Sony actors to the Bangladeshi bank actors is accurate, that means that a nation-state is robbing banks," end quote. The line between cybercrime and state-sponsored warfare was blurring, and the global financial system was caught in the crossfire. The trail led investigators across multiple countries, unveiling a network of accounts set up to launder the stolen funds. From the Philippines to Sri Lanka, the attackers had meticulously planned their escape routes, demonstrating a level of international coordination that left authorities reeling. In a dramatic turn of events, the US government charged Park Jin-hyuk, a North Korean computer programmer, in connection with the heist. This wasn't just another indictment, it was a clear message to the world about the changing nature of cyber threats. The aftermath. Though an indictment of Park Jin-hyuk was made, Hyuk was a North Korean living in North Korea. As North Korea is already a pariah state, cut off from the rest of the world, justice is unlikely to ever come, as it would literally take an interstate war. The aftermath at Bangladesh Bank, otherwise, was swift and merciless. Governor Atiur Rahman of Bangladesh Bank, once hailed as a champion of economic growth, found himself at the center of a storm. With public outrage mounting and investigations intensifying, Rahman resigned. But his departure was just the beginning of a seismic shift in the banking world. As Bangladesh grappled with its internal crisis, the spotlight shifted to the Philippines, where much of the stolen money had vanished into a labyrinth of casinos and shady accounts. Maya Santos Tejito, the manager of the RCBC branch that had processed the fraudulent transfers, found herself in the crosshairs. She was convicted on multiple counts of money laundering in 2019, facing 4 to 7 years in prison for each count. The SWIFT network, once considered the gold standard of secure financial messaging, introduced the Customer Security Program, CSP, a set of mandatory security controls for member banks. A step in the right direction and a direct response. As the cybersecurity industry boomed, legal battles erupted. Bangladesh Bank took aim at RCBC, filing a lawsuit in the US District Court, accusing them of complicity in the heist. RCBC fired back with a countersuit alleging defamation. It was a legal slugfest that threatened to drag on for years. The Banca Central NG Filipinas, BSP, came down hard on RCBC, slapping them with a record-breaking fine of nearly $52.92 million for non-compliance with banking laws. The Philippines also amended its Anti-Money Laundering Act to include casinos, recognizing that financial crimes don't respect boundaries. Good progress that's better late than never. Yet, as experts sound the alarm, many financial institutions, particularly in emerging markets, still lag behind in implementing adequate security measures. The harsh reality? In a world where cybercriminals are constantly evolving, staying one step ahead remains a Herculean task, and even more so for countries without the budget or expertise to undertake it. Conclusion. The Bangladesh bank heist wasn't just a daring robbery, it is a glimpse into the future of warfare. A nation-state, not just a gang of criminals, orchestrating a cyber attack to plunder billions. It's a scenario that blurs the line between crime and conflict, challenging our very understanding of modern warfare. But to any bank employees and officials watching, maybe secure your servers better, and to any hackers watching, pray. Because realistically, the coincidence that foiled this heist was a stroke of luck, and thus completely unforeseeable. Good luck.